You've got an hour slot, so it's up to you how long you want to take of that. It can be half an hour,
Okay.
35, 40, whatever. But we've got to finish. We'll try and finish by 5:55, as in wrap
Okay.
up at that point. Is
I
that
don't
okay,
think
Sheikh?
this one will be that long, inshallah.
Okay, no problem. I can
But
see. I I can hear the movement of papers, Sheikh. Lots and lots of papers. So it seems like you've done a lot of work behind this.
I today was a very bad day, Chef. That's all I can say.
Okay, so we are now live on YouTube. I am just going to create the link, which Usada Zainab, who is an admin, will be sending it out, inshallah. So I'm just going to do that now, Sab. So if you could just bear with me for another 2-3 minutes,
Yep.
that will then give everyone time to start logging in, and then we will start. In the meantime, those of us who are already here, if you have any fiqh-related questions, you can type them up and on
Ooh,
chat
interesting.
and ask Mufti Hilal. They can be the most difficult questions, the most trickiest questions, and Mufti Hilal has promised to answer every single one of them.
My principle is to delegate, Chef.
Just joking, Chef.
I promise to delegate all questions onto other people.
I
How does that
like
sound?
that. That sounds good, Chef. You're sounding like a Hanafi Mufti, Chef. Well done.
I learned that from you.
Oh, yeah, that's me as a
I
Hanafi,
think
Chef.
a few years being in FES taught me how to delegate responsibilities.
I like that, Chef. That sounds good. But yeah, just to so we're just sending this out now, Chef. It shouldn't take too long. Just sharing it with our staff as well. And then so as I was saying, we'll start at Zainab, who is in our who is our admin staff. She's been working very hard to send these out, 2-3 times a day, to connect with parents, which is very kind of her. So Jazakallah Ustad Zainab, if you are hearing. If not, then may Allah reward you, and may Allah, may you find out in the hereafter, inshallah. Okay. As people start coming in slowly but surely, I just wanted to just make this clear that even though this is a fiqh session, there may be some questions because this is aimed at children. Let's put it that way. It's aimed, and when I say children, we're looking at children who are in the upper primary and then also secondary school. It doesn't mean that parents are not allowed. Obviously, parents are allowed, but it just means that we want to keep these questions, try and keep them restricted around children and teenagers, so that we can, because there are lots and lots of webinars and courses taking place which are aimed at adults. So we wanted Ustad Hilal to aim this at children to make it easy for them, but also to give us the mechanics behind fatwa making and the mechanics behind how fatwas are given, but not just fatwas, but just fiqh in general, how it works, right? So, for instance, if something's a sunnah or fard or wajib, how did we get to that conclusion? And then, despite that, we've got to also remember that when it comes to Sharia, right, it's very, very diverse, and that's the beauty of Islam. So, Mufti Hilal may want to stay within a certain framework, and he is entitled to do that. And if there are any questions which he feels that he may want to answer at a later time, or if he feels that he needs to check with another Mufti or a senior Mufti, then by all means, Mufti Hilal will do that. And inshallah, we'll potentially maybe get you the answers the following week. That way, you'll also be, on a cliffhanger every week, inshallah. So that's that. If you have any questions whilst Mufti Hilal is talking, please just type them up either on YouTube or you can type them up on Zoom as you are here. And inshallah, I will at some time, at some point, stop Mufti Hilal and just ask him those questions. So we do obviously want all our sessions to be interactive. Okay. Is that clear, everyone, inshallah? So we are going to move ahead. Okay, Mufti, I think we are ready to go. We don't want to waste or take out too much time.
Yep.
So off you go, Sheikh, whenever you're ready.
Ooh. I'm just going to share my presentation, Chef.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, that should be clear, right? Everyone can see that?
Yes, very clearly.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in these few sessions, our weekly session, is we're going to be looking at fiqh, what it is, what it does, how it works, And at the same time, we're going to actually look at certain cases and rulings, but we're going to try and where we can look at how scholars got to those rulings. And if there are differences amongst the scholars, what is the reason for those differences? What is happening in the background? As Ustad Hamid said, the mechanics of fiqh. What is going on in the background that allows people to get to certain rulings? So we're going to try and do a bit of both as we go through the sessions. There's going to be a bit of learning about rules, but at the same time, there's going to be a bit of understanding the background. So, and do we have a chat section, right? I'm going to open my chat section. Okay.
Yes, Sheikh. Sorry, I've muted my mic, so I will keep on mute. Whenever you need me to speak, I'll unmute it. So in regards to chat, if you want to look at the chats on Zoom, that's fine. I can do that for you. I will bring up the ones on YouTube.
Okay, because I wanted to ask a few questions as we go along as well.
Oh yeah, sure. Go for it, Sheikh. Go for it.
I was actually going to do
a
question matrix, believe it or not. But
let's go for it, Sheikh.
The only reason why I didn't is because my wife says to me that whenever I do a lesson, I always have a question matrix.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you think that the film Matrix is haram. That's why you decided not to use question matrix.
You might have to do the fiqh of Matrix then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I had to actually avoid the question matrix for the sake of embarrassment for today, but inshallah, there will be one coming up later on.
Cool.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at. What is fiqh? What does it do? How does it work? Anyone want to jump in right now?
Can I jump in, Sheikh?
Oh, yes, you can.
I like what you've done there. You've by using that image on the right, what you've done is you've eradicated any fatwas against you in terms of the face and all of that. I like what you've done.
I had to be very clever.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
A lot of my pictures will be silhouettes for a very particular reason.
Yes, I can imagine. Okay, so does anyone want to answer fiqh? What is it? What does it do? How does it work? So
so let's start with what it is.
Yep.
What is it?
So also just to mention to everyone who's listening that YouTube is on a roughly 30-second lag. So that means on YouTube, we might start getting a question 30 seconds later. But those of you who are on Zoom with us, there's about 6 of us here. Please do tell us, what do you think? Remember, there's nothing wrong in getting it wrong. Okay, so there's a chat, there's a question that's answering. Is it something to do with Islamic law?
It is something to do with Islamic law, that's right.
Well done, Harris. Harris has been quite interactive with us
for the past
quite a few, very punctual. So well done, Harris. MashaAllah, well done.
Who is Harris, by the way? Is he Harris' student or Harris' parent?
It's Harris Wahid. So Harris, you can tell us yourself who you are.
Who are you?
Yes, who are you? What do you do?
And how do you work?
Yes, absolutely. Ustad Aisha is here as well. So there's no points on nothing on YouTube so far.
Okay,
so everyone's. I think when it comes to fiqh, everyone goes on guard. Yeah, people are just a bit afraid to say anything. That's why they haven't kind of come forward and said, this is what fiqh is.
Okay.
Just in case they get in trouble. Oh, Harris Wahid said he is a new student. MashaAllah, well done, Harris. MashaAllah, very proud that you're a new student and you're here for most of the sessions.
Safia Kassam's not answering, Sheikh, but she's been my student for quite a few years.
Oh, interesting. Safia, what's going on?
This is a dilemma, as you would say.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I joined in the last week before madrasa. Oh, mashallah, Harris. So Harris joined madrasa a week before quarantine, a week before we closed the madrasa down. So it's nice to have you, Harris, inshallah. I'm now actually looking forward to seeing your face in real life when we come back to the physical madrasa, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, let's move on then. What is fiqh? What does it do and how does it work? So have a look at this. Oh, is Ibrahim, mashallah. Yeah, how does this look?
Oh, I like that. I like your machine, Sheikh. This is a very nice machine.
Okay, so brilliant. I'm just going to basically, if you thought you're going to come here to ask questions, I think you come to the wrong place, because my job is to ask questions and everyone watching hopefully will be answering the questions. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine, Sheikh. I like the idea. Yeah.
Okay. So what can someone think about? Just tell me, what do you think is happening in this machine, in this picture? There seems to be some balls flying around. There seems to be something going into a machine. Machine's doing something, and something is happening. Where do you think fiqh plays a part in all of this? Where do you think the fiqh is? Is the fiqh the buttons, the green, red buttons over here? Or these arrows, or some light bulbs? Or is it the balls flying around? Where is fiqh in this picture?
I do like this, Sheikh. I like this question. I like the image. Can any of our students, because I don't want to start, giving all, or trying at having go at the answers. Okay.
Oh,
so
the
Harris,
cogs. I like that.
Cogs. Good, very good.
Are you sure it's not the red buttons?
So Harris is saying the cogs. Very good.
No.
Oh no. Okay.
MashaAllah, he's sure.
How old are you, Harris? Can I just get your age as well?
10, MashaAllah. Brother, come on, where are you? Where's the fiqh? What is fiqh? Where is it in this picture?
And we also have Brother Umar Gary Mitchell and his children most likely on today as well. And we've got Riyaz as well. So yeah, do jump in. So I think our Mufti here will not let you go unless you are going to be answering.
Are you ready?
So if you want us to stay on this thing, then
the buttons. Ooh. I never used to like those
Sophia
teachers
has
that
said
used
the
to
colored bubbles. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so Mufti Hilal, Sophia Kassam has just said the colored bubbles, the ones that are coming out.
You want to explain why it's the colored bubbles? Is Sophia Kassam saying
Sophia,
that?
If you want to explain why you think. Sorry, say that again, Sheikh.
Is this on YouTube, Sophia Kassam? Or is she on here?
She is on the Q&A.
She's on the Q&A. Cool. I just seen it. The colored bubbles.
Yep.
Let me try this. I will answer your question live, inshallah. So yeah, you're right. The colored bubbles are the fiqh. So what happens is, where do we get our information regarding our religion from? Okay, so we've got on the top left-hand side, we've got some signs or a few points of where we get our Islamic information from. So you've got the Quran, you've got the Sunnah, which is the life of the Prophet ﷺ, whatever he did, whatever he would say. And you've also got other cool stuff, which we're not going to go into because it might start getting a bit too deep. So we'll stick to the Quran, the Sunnah, other cool stuff. Now, other cool stuff, all of this together goes into the machine. This machine starts doing all the work that it needs to do, and principles will be applied to the machine and to all the Quran, Sunnah, other cool stuff. That will be organized, sorted out, and then the end result of it will be these colored balls at the end. So the green one, the yellow one, the blue one, and the red one. Now, today I might need a red one, so I might pick out the red one. It might be related to something I need to do right now. Later on in the day, I might need to use the yellow one. So fiqh is the conclusion and the end result of everything that has been put into the machine and has been processed. But before we go on, let's have a look at the next slide. The next slide is interesting. Oh, sorry.
Before you go on, Sheikh, yes. Habib, right? Habib has just mentioned, the light bulb. Habib thinks fiqh is the light bulb. He has just come on YouTube and said that. What do you have to say, Habib, regarding the light bulb?
The light bulb might be the light bulb might be the scholar who gets the idea of what to do.
Interesting. I like that.
It's a light bulb moment, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Do carry on, Mufti.
Okay, yeah. So Quran, Sunnah, all this other cool stuff is thrown into a machine. Machine does all the work that it needs to, sorts everything out, and gives you everything that you need at the other side. So now have a look at this. Okay, someone tell me what is happening in this picture. Why are there two machines? This is a bit of a spot the difference kind of question.
Are these two muftis fighting with each other?
They are, 100%.
Okay.
One might be a mufti by title, another one might be a mufti by surname.
Oh, yes. Interesting.
No offense, sir.
Okay. The colors coming out of the machine are different. That's what Harris has noted.
Okay,
I like
colors
that.
coming out of the machine are different.
Why good observation, Harris.
Yeah. Why do you think the colors are different? Is that the only thing that's different in this picture? One does not have buttons. Oh, interesting. One does not have buttons. Anything else?
Yeah, that's true. Was that on purpose, Mufti, the eradication of buttons?
Naam.
Oh,
The
good.
second
Okay.
machine has 2 cogs. Oh, and the first one has 3.
Let's have a look at that. I'm trying to look at this as well. Yep, good point. I like that.
Okay,
I like that.
nice. Okay, so the reason why I've got this picture here is to show someone might ask the question, isn't there only one Quran and there's only one Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
and what he has told us has come to us? But why is it that different people have different conclusions as to what is best practice in Islam? So for example, you might see somebody praying Salah in a certain way. He's taking his method of praying Salah to be closest to the method of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But somebody else who is also claiming to be praying in a way which is the closest way to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is praying very differently. But why, when the Quran is one and the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is one? So that's what this picture is to demonstrate. That when you get the Quran and the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has to go through a process. And everybody's going to have their own different principle. Everyone's going to have their own different machine, which they're going to use to process all of that information. And depending on the machine that you're using and how you're processing the information, that's going to give you different colored balls at the end. So now there's a few things that can be changed around here. Number one, the principles. So this part in the middle, the machine. Can you see my mouse as well?
Yes, I can
okay, good.
see your mic.
So the
just
machine.
that your sometimes your voice is cutting off a bit, but other than that, it's all fine.
Okay, cool. So the machine in the middle. Now you have to remember, every scholar might have their own machine. They might have their own principles. One machine might have 2 cogs. Another scholar might have 3. Some might have additional buttons, whereas another scholar might have less buttons. And at the same time, we have the Quran, Sunnah, and other cool stuff. Some scholars might actually add more information into the machine. Other scholars might add less information to this machine. So for example, you have a scholar in Medina called Imam Malik, rahmatullahi alayhi. Now, something that was unique about Imam Malik is he would look at the practice of the people of Medina. What would the people of Medina do? So he's got the Quran to guide him. He's got the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to guide him. And he's also got the people of Medina. What are they doing? So he would add that into the machine, and his machine would be different. That's why his colored balls at the end of it would actually be slightly different to the other, to the balls of maybe other scholars. So that's the whole point of this slide, is just to be able to understand and appreciate differences of opinion that might be existent amongst different scholars and different groups, etc. There is an activity I want to do on this, inshallah. Maybe next week we'll do a practical case of this.
Okay, Mufti, before you do the activity, Mufti Hilal, I'm actually fascinated by yeah, that's fine. Just to talk about these 2 machines, Sheikh, if I can ask you some more questions about this machinery. So for all our young students and young attendees and followers out there, I want to ask you a few questions so they can also think of this in more practical terms. So there might be some people, right, who look at these balls and say, look, the balls that are coming out from my machine or the machine that I follow are more colored. They have nice colors, but your ones have dull colors. My one's better than yours. What do you have to say to them? Mufti Hilal, are you with us?
Oh, I thought you were asking the students.
No, I'm asking you, so you can maybe answer or ask the student, give us an answer.
Yeah, so I don't think it's about how colorful the balls are. To be honest, I think if the machine is in working order and the machine tried its best, then it doesn't matter what color the balls are that come out at the end. Because
interesting, Mufti, because I thought you were going to say, as long as the ball bounces, that's all that matters.
Or as long as it's squidgy, Sheikh, because I like those soft ones. If you look at the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made a mention about a person who tries his best to come to a conclusion. He tried his best, he exercised whatever he could do in order to get to the right conclusion, and he still managed to get the answer wrong. The Prophet ﷺ said, for that person is going to be a reward, not a punishment, a reward, because they actually tried their best. So they tried their best to get to the right conclusion, and because they tried their best, so because the machine was in full working order and everything was being implemented how it should be implemented, even if their ball at the end of it wasn't as colorful and maybe not the right conclusion, they'll still be rewarded. That's the way the Prophet ﷺ taught the ummah, that look, you can try your best. After that, you have to leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're only going to be accountable for as much as is in your ability, right? So you can't be accountable for something that's beyond your scope.
That's interesting. So are you now saying, Mufti, that there are like 4 major machines in the Islamic school of thought?
I was going to have 4 major machines, but then I took them out.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make them 4 different machines.
Oh, nice.
Due to the lack of time, I could only have 2 very similar with different conclusion machines.
Right, interesting.
But I think
sorry, Sheikh, do carry on.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. Go for it.
Okay, so we were doing Islamic studies this week, and we were looking at Imam al-Jazari, who was also known as the father of robotics. So a lot of the machinery that we see today, a lot of it has its origins in the Muslim world with some of the Muslim engineers. And it's nice to see, Mufti Hilal, that even for fiqh, you are using some machines and gadgets and robots.
You know, actually, on that point, there is a robot that's been created in the Arab world to answer questions.
To issue fatwas?
Yes.
Could we set also a homework for students to tell us what that robot should be called?
I'm a bit scared of that robot because I might be out of business afterwards.
Yes, absolutely, Chef.
Absolutely. Like Ustad Adil's dispensing machine.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. If it has wheels on it, it could be called fatwa on wheels.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, do carry on, Sheikh. I think we're going to move on.
So, sorry, just to go back. So, fiqh is the conclusion and the rulings that a person has to follow. Now, ultimately, fiqh is what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to live in this world in a certain way. Now, you have the Quran to guide you, you have the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to guide you, but it's not always easy for a person to be able to directly engage and interact with those sources because they're quite complicated. And we're actually going to do some cases next week about how complicated it can get to actually engage with the sources directly. Anyway, some people have done that. They've gone through the sources, they've processed the information, and they've come to conclusions. And those conclusions we then follow as our way of life. So, for example, if you need to pray salah, how are you going to pray salah? You're going to pick all the yellow balls. They'll teach you how to pray salah. If you need to fast in Ramadan, pick all the blue balls. They will teach you how to fast in Ramadan. If you want to know what breaks your salah, so then there will be certain balls that will tell you what breaks your salah. All of that will have already been organized and sorted out and laid out so that you can have that in a very easily accessible way. So what kind of topics does fiqh discuss? So fiqh discusses acts of worship, how to pray your salah, how to give and pay zakat, who you can give it to, who has to give zakat, how to fast in the month of Ramadan, how to perform your hajj. All of these acts come under fiqh as well. But fiqh is not just reduced down to your acts of worship, because it's about following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way of life that He's decided for people. Now, your life doesn't just involve worship. Your life involves making money, having a business, going to work. Your life involves having a family. Your life involves so much more than just worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every aspect of your life is governed by the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do it. Now, that's the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, for example. The worldview of a Muslim is anything that I do, even if it's as simple as going to my bed at nighttime and going to sleep, I should do that in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do that. So then you'll have the fiqh of going to sleep. How shall I eat my food? How shall I sit? What hand shall I use to eat? What kind of foods can I eat? What kind of foods can't I eat? So then you have the fiqh of halal food, the fiqh of prayer, the fiqh of what is allowed when you're running a business. What kind of trades can you do? What kind of businesses can't you run? So all of that, fiqh tries to explain to you how you live your life, every moment of your life, according to the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted us to live our lives. That's the worldview that we're using. Okay. Purification. Now we're going to jump right into it. So we've done a bit of background into fiqh, and then we're going to look at a certain topic today. And we're going to do this. We're going to jump around. We're going to do a bit of background to fiqh, and then a bit of actual rulings, and a bit of background to fiqh, and we're just going to jump around to mix it up a bit. So if you look at textbooks on fiqh, for example, they go through a certain process. They go through a certain procedure. So they normally bring acts of worship first, and then after that they might bring transactions and how to do business and so on and so forth, and then after that they might bring other discussions like marriage and those kind of things. Okay, but right at the start of most discussions in fiqh, even in books of hadith, a lot of the time you will find that purification and cleanliness comes right at the start. Because why do you think cleanliness comes at the start? What is so significant about being clean? Why would you put that right at the start when you're discussing fiqh and how a person should live their life? I would have thought that maybe ibadah, maybe worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should come first. Maybe praying salah should come first.
So Ustad Harris has given an answer if you want to read it out.
Islam. You want to expand on what you mean by it's half of Islam.
So Harris, if you can give a bit of an explanation, what you think that means, and then Mufti will tell you further.
You have to clean or pure to pray. Oh, interesting. Anisa. So yeah, I would have said that praying salah is the most important probably. But then, as Anisa just said, in order to pray salah, I can't just pray salah in any state. I have to be clean and I have to be pure. So then that puts purification actually in front of anything else. You can't do anything like salah without wudu. It's true. You can't do anything like salah without wudu. So it has a very important place in our religion, has a very important place, purification. And we're going to come across different types of purification as well. Now, as we look out at the world, you've got so many objects, you've got so many items, you've got so many different materials. How do we sift through all of that and determine what is considered pure and what is considered impure? But what are we going to use as our basis to determine that? The Prophet ﷺ said, you have to be clean. Good. Well done, Harith. So how do we determine what an impurity is? What can we use to guide us? The Quran. Okay, good.
Also, if anyone wants to answer
Hadith.
on YouTube, I can.
The Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu
take that.
alaihi wasallam. So do you understand how it's working now? So it's the guidance is coming from the Quran and the Hadith and the other cool stuff which went into the machine, and then the machine then threw out all of these cool balls, and from there we can work out what is considered pure, what is considered impure. Okay, now let's have a look. In order to purify something, you need an impurity, right? You can't purify something that's already clean. You can't clean something that's already clean. You can't clean it more if you want to. But usually you need something that's not so clean to clean it. Now, there's 3 types of impurities. And this is really interesting. The first is a physical impurity. So what do you think comes under a physical impurity? Give me something that you would consider to be a physical impurity. Being sweaty, yeah, that's not so clean, it's true. Anyone else? Any of the Mitchells want to jump in? What would be a physical impurity? dirt, going to the toilet, nice, smelling bad, mud. Mud is an interesting one, actually. I really find that quite interesting. The mud, it is an impurity, right? Sure. Okay, so we have certain physical impurities, and we're taught by the Prophet ﷺ that things like blood is impure when you go to the toilet. There's impurities there. To be honest, anything that comes out of the body can end up being impurity. When a person bleeds, has a nosebleed, and all of these kind of things, they're physical, actual impurities. So if I get something like that on my clothes, I need to vomit good. I need to wash it off. Okay, so that's a physical impurity. My clothes has become dirty, or the table has become dirty, or my shoes are dirty, and I need to physically clean it. Then you have a totally different world, which we can't see now, and that is the ritual impurity. So the ritual impurity is now what? What is the ritual impurity? So I understand the physical impurity. I can see it. I can touch it. It has a color. It has a body. There's actually something dirty that I need to clean. Ritual impurity. Now we're going behind the scenes of this world. Something that I can't exactly see. It's something that makes me ritually impure. So for example, if I want to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I want to pray my salah, yes, not having wudu is a ritual impurity. But I can't see, like going to sleep breaks my wudu, but there's no difference. I'm still the same person. There's nothing that I need to rub off and scrub off. It all looks the same to me. I'm the same person. I went to sleep and I woke up. Why have I not got wudu? But that is what you call a ritually impure state. And then finally, you have the spiritually impure, and that is the insides of a person and the condition of their heart, certain negative qualities and characteristics a person might have, as opposed to being spiritually purified and clean from inside. Being rude, good. Being rude, backbiting, talking bad of other people, having enmity towards somebody else. So that would be a spiritually impurity. And there are different ways of cleaning each one. There's a way to clean a physical impurity. There's a way of cleaning a ritual impurity, gossiping, nice. And there's a way of cleaning spiritual impurities. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of these, but we're not just going to do it in a textbook fashion where we're going to go through a list of what makes you ritually impure, etc. We're going to try and bring in a few activities. We've got just a very quick one to do for today. And inshallah from next week, we'll mix it up a bit. And we're going to start with ritual impurities. Okay, so we're going to start with ritual impurities. Oh, this one does have eyes, Sheikh, and a face. How do you feel about that?
Well, I want to know how you reached this opinion of having eyes, Sheikh, and a very wriggly kind of lips. Do you think he would, then we'd have to talk about self-mutilation as well, Sheikh?
Self-mutilation.
And also why he doesn't have a nose.
There's a lot of fiqhy questions in there, Sheikh.
And also another thing that could come from this picture is hair transplant permitted? Because he definitely does, or whatever it is, doesn't have any hair, Sheikh.
I think he needs a bit of a head transplant as well, right at the top. If you look carefully,
yeah,
he's missing a bit of his head. He is
absolutely, yes. And he's getting lots of he's got lots of writing on his face, Sheikh.
Why is fainting impurity? Oh, interesting.
Interesting question.
That is a good question. Okay, let's have a look at this first. Let's go through the list. Ritual impurities. So this is something that puts you in a ritually impure state. Okay, and again, some of these things might seem a bit random. We're going to have to go through various concepts first, individually, and then hopefully at the end of it, if we can bring it all together, then hopefully it will start to make sense, inshallah ta'ala. So you might have to study what makes a person ritually impure, how they become pure, and all of these different concepts, and then you bring them together. Going to the toilet, going sleep, bleeding, passing wind. I think that's why he's holding his nose, and fainting. Somebody want to have a go? Why is fainting impure? Why is fainting an impurity? Why are any of these an impurity? Why is going to sleep an impurity? A ritual impurity. So I'm not talking about the actual blood itself. I'm talking about why is the fact that blood came out your body, why is that putting you in a ritually impure state? Yub,
So, mashallah, there's a fascinating response that's
I know.
come in.
I like
You've
the you
mentioned
bit.
Yub. Yes.
You have been unconscious. Oh, so I guess it's like sleeping. Involuntary act. You are no longer in charge of your action. So remember, ritual, be putting yourself into a ritually impure state. Sometimes it's not always going to be something that we can totally comprehend or put our finger to and say, you know, that's the exact reason. Because ritually impure is beyond our world, right? So the physically impure, the blood and those kind of impurities, we can actually see and feel. Whereas ritually impure, now we're going behind the veil of this world and we're going into a realm of spirituality, because being ritually impure is not something that we can totally interact with. Okay, have a look at this now. A person did one of the previous, they went to the toilet, or they fell asleep, or they had a nosebleed, or they fainted, or they passed some wind. So now they've entered into a ritually impure state. Okay, now because they're ritually impure, they can no longer perform salah until they purify themselves. They can no longer hold on to the Quran. They can't touch the Quran because they're in a ritually impure state. Now the question is, how do I get rid of this ritually impure state, and how do I now become pure? What do I need to do to become pure? I need to go through a process of purification. Do wudu. Okay. With what, Harry? Which one am I going to do wudu with? And why? With water. Why water? Water is pure. But so is cheese. Is cheese not pure? I thought cheese would be a good agent to, you know, rub dirt off your skin. It's got that rubbery texture. Anybody else? What quality are you looking for? What qualities should we look for in order to determine what can purify us? Fairy liquid is a good cleaning agent, no? Why can't I do wudu with fairy liquid? It would smell a lot better than if I just did wudu with water. Liquid has chemicals. Ooh. So does water, depending on where you get it from. Natural product. Cheese is natural. Fairies for the dishes. Following the sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ used water. Interesting. But isn't a snowball made of water? What about my hailstone on the right-hand side, which actually has a pound coin in there? I don't know why it has a pound coin in there. Water is the easiest. Okay, if we're looking at the easiest, then opening a bottle of ketchup and just squeezing that all over me would be quite easy for me as well, actually. Okay, tell me, what kind of qualities are we looking for in order to determine something that can purify you? What kind of qualities should we look out for? Clear, okay. Water is a clear, so something that's clear, whereas fairy liquid ketchup is all murky. We're looking at something that's natural, okay. Cheese is natural. What are the qualities? Don't we look for something that has a good smell? Why not fairy liquid? It has a good smell to it. Okay, so it has chemicals. Okay, so let's just say we're going to take water, okay, as our method of cleaning ourselves. You can actually use snow, and you can actually use hailstone if you wanted to. There's a top tip here. The top tip is you only need, if you're going to go right down to the minimum, you only need enough water that when you're washing your arm, for example, that 1 or 2 drops of water fall off your arm, right? If you're going to go to the bare minimum, now, this is an activity you can do afterwards. You can go on YouTube and you can type in performing wudu with a spray bottle. performing wudu with a spray bottle. And you will see people using a very, very small bottle, spray bottle, and that's just spraying their arms. A lot of people do this when you go to the Haram, for example, in Makkah and Medina, because it might take you like 20 minutes to go to do wudu and 20 minutes to come back. So what they do is they take a small spray bottle with them and they just keep spraying their arm, minimum water, just enough for a drop or two to come off. And technically that will suffice in terms of washing. Okay, what I'm going to do is have a look at this next one now. Okay, so you guys said water is what you're going to use to purify yourself. What about if I take water out? Your uncle did this during Hajj. SubhanAllah. Your uncle's a very smart guy, mashallah. Is his name Usman by any chance? With ice, you have to melt the ice. Or you could just hug it, to be honest. Won't hugging that big snowball be enough? Okay, so if I take water out, which one of these would you choose? Just say I took all the liquid. Just say I took out I took out the water, snowball, and the ice cube, the ice hailstones in the corner. If I've taken out all three.
Just have one question, Mufti Hilal, if you could kindly answer it for me. It's a fatwa that I would need from you. So you know that snowball on the left?
Yes.
Right? So if those two children were standing there and the snowball happened to come off a cliff and roll over and go over them on top of them and made them all wet and then carried on going down, and the boys, alhamdulillah, were safe, would they now be in the state of wudu because that snowball crushed them, right? And miraculously they were saved. But now because all their body parts are obviously wet, do they now have wudu? Can they pray salah because they were crushed over by a snowball?
It depends if they're still alive.
Right. So, and miraculously they were alive.
Oh, subhanAllah. Then yeah, of course they will.
So they can straight away roll out the musalla and pray.
It's like jumping into a pool of water.
Fantastic. I mean, Islam, it sounds very easy, Chef.
Yeah, just jump into a pool of water and jump back out again.
Yep. So who would need intentions for that? So maybe there are some schools where those boys, if they see the snowball coming, will need to make intention just before that.
I think that would be I think that would be the Shafi'i school.
Oh, okay, interesting.
They might just have to make an intention quickly before they get hit.
Yeah.
What if they were bleeding? Oh,
yeah, good question. Yeah,
that's a very good question. Then you have a problem.
Well, it depends if the ketchup you have in the middle, if they use that to show pretend blood, or was it real blood?
But you see, Sheikh, the Shafi'i will be like, you're making fun of me that I need to have an intention, but then when they bleed, they're laughing, right? Because it doesn't bring their wudu.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So we are all in it together, basically.
We're all in this journey together.
Yeah, okay, brilliant.
Okay. I've taken out everything. I've taken out water. Assume I've taken out the snowballs. Assume I've taken out hailstone. I've got none of that available. What's the next best thing that you're going to go to? You can use any product that you can think of. What kind of product are you going to use based on the quality? So we're looking at something that can clean you, something that is considered pure, something that is a cleaning product. What can I use for wudu? Just say I've got no water. No water. What am I going to use? The ice is dirty. Ah, interesting. But is it impure? That's the question. It might be dirty, but is it impure? The ground. Next best is cheese. I think.
Interesting. I like that.
I think Isa's a bit hungry, yeah? Toothpaste. Why toothpaste? Is it because it has a bit of bleach inside?
Because if it's good enough to clean your teeth, then it's good enough to clean any part of your body.
Brush your teeth, yeah. If it can make you white, right?
Yep.
Liquid, anything liquid. Okay. So what about this? Would you ever think?
Oh, there's an interesting question, Sheikh, that Safiya Kasam has just asked. People who are baptized, this is on Q&A. People who are baptized, are they technically in state of wudu?
I would have to analyze the baptism.
That's a very funny question. That's a very interesting question, Sheikh. Yeah. Absolutely. And why were they baptized? That's the
I
question.
was just
Why
about
were
to wonder why a Muslim is going to be baptized.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I actually had a Muslim friend from school who went to a Christian school long time ago, and he mentioned that he was baptized, but
Oh,
I don't think he knew what it meant. So
interesting.
imagine if he had to pray a Dhuhr and he just went through the whole schooling process and he's not really bothered about this because he doesn't believe in it anyway. And then he was baptized. Now can he pray wudu? Maybe Safiya's asking a question along those lines.
Interesting, interesting. It
So
depends
is the
what
water from
did they
baptism
did they
pure?
baptize his arms and feet as well?
Yeah, yeah. No, oh, that's a good question. But also, Sheikh, you know the water basin that they, you know the pot that is used in churches,
Yeah.
it might not qualify for a large enough utensil to
Oh,
perform wudu from, I'm guessing.
and it might result in leftover water, which might not be good enough.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, when we think of purifying, we think of natural, clean water. This ice can do. You can just melt it, use it. I probably wouldn't use fairy liquid for wudu or tomato ketchup or toothpaste or cheese, right? But at the same time, what about this?
Oh, interesting.
Harris, would you use this to clean yourself? Cheese can make you impure due to smell. Oh, I like that.
Hmm.
But cheese is also good for rubbing stuff off your body, you know?
Hmm. Oh,
It's
Harris has
natural.
responded.
Ah,
Go
and
for
you
it,
can
Sheikh.
use it there. There's no water. But it's
Brilliant.
so dirty. Look at the person's hand. Look how dirty it's become. That's what I'm missing. No, because it's made from waste.
Oh, actually, a few questions, sorry, a few answers have just come through on YouTube.
Yep.
So if I can just read them through. Shazia Kamran is saying that something pure can purify something else. Shahana is saying cheese goes through a process. Shahana is also saying cheese can make you impure due to smell. And Shahana is then saying easy to pass through the body. Shahana sounds, mashallah, very good. Shahana, Sheikh, do you think Shahana might be a mufti hiding behind YouTube?
I think so. I think it could be
That's right.
another
So that's Ustada,
another hidden one of those.
yes, that's Ustada Shahana from Fiqh Academy and also part of Kadina.
That's why I was saying that. But I like the idea of cheese being rubbery because it's good for
Yep,
rubbing stuff off your body.
yep.
You're wasting the cheese. This cheese stuff has really hit it. Huh? Okay,
Yeah,
it's pure
absolutely.
because it
Yeah.
comes from the ground. I like that. It's pure. No, because it's made from the waste. What is made from the waste? Can Fiza please clarify, or Fiza or Habib? What do you mean by it's made from the waste? What's made from the waste?
And whose waste?
You're wasting the cheese. Never waste. We should have one of those. Fiza is typing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you can give a recommendation to Zoom.
Yep.
Anyway, as we wait for them to type, soil is made from things like banana peels. No, but the soil in my garden is not made from banana peels. My soil is made from the earth that was already existent before I was even born. Maybe even before bananas came into this world. Okay, so I think we did have one answer in here that we were looking for, which was, it is natural. Where's it gone? I just saw it somewhere. It is natural and you can use it if there is no water. Was that Harris? Yes. It's pure because it comes from the ground. Yes. The interesting part here is actually from an Islamic perspective, if you don't have water or snow or ice, then the next best thing is not fairy liquid or toothpaste. The next best thing is actually soil and earth. Why do you think it's soil and earth? Why is that going to purify me?
Good question.
That looks quite dirty. That would probably be the last thing that comes to my mind. I would probably go to something a bit like soap, something soapy. Why am I going to go to the earth? Animals go through your soil, snails and worms. Allah has made it. It's meant to have poo. It might have.
In some cultures, they actually use animals' poo to, fire up food.
Oh,
what would you say about that,
yes,
Mufti?
they do actually. They do. That's right.
Yes,
They use it to make those coals, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, I remember a long time ago when I was in Bangladesh, we were playing cricket on this very large field, and fielding alongside us were goats, and they were running around acting as fielders. And as they pooped, some people came from the village, quickly ran, picked it up, and ran away. And they would then use that later on to help with the fire to cook their food.
Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, soil, earth, natural, very natural, it's from the ground, right? It's natural, just like water is extremely natural. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum. From the earth we created you, and from the earth you will return. There's a big, even though we may not relate to earth and soil, but there's a very strong connection between people and earth. And we'll go into this a bit more next week, inshallah. But we were just throwing around a few ideas today. The main concepts to take away are the different types of purities and impurities. So you've got physical, ritual, and spiritual impurities. And we were looking a bit today at ritual impurities. So there are certain things that makes a person ritually impure. Because you're ritually impure, you then can't do certain acts, like you can't pray salah, or you can't hold a Quran, for example. And then there are certain ways of purifying yourself. So there's all these different stages and processes that you have to go through. Yes, the way to purify yourself is water. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we've revealed from the skies purifying water which can purify. And then there's a whole load of discussions about certain things can purify you. They might be pure, but they might not be able to purify you. And there's all these different discussions that we'll come across slowly, inshallah, as we go along. And then spiritual impurity, I think that we're going to leave to maybe the Friday afternoon sessions, isn't it, Sheikh? That's where we talk about spiritual impurity and becoming spiritually clean.
Yes, that's right. You are right, Mufti.
Okay. So yeah, a few things to take away today. Different types of impurities: physical, ritual, spiritual. Certain things that make you in a ritually impure state. And primarily, yes, water is the thing that's going to purify you. It can be in water form, snow form, which is going to be melted, ice form, which is going to be melted again. And interestingly, when there is an absence of water, we are told that the next best thing that you're going to go to purify you is soil. But there's a very different method to purifying yourself with soil. You're not going to get it in your hand and rub it on your face and arms and feet and your hair like you do normally with wudu. There's a very different way of purifying yourself through these means. And I think one of the most important things to take away is the machine concept. That there will be people out there that have different ways of looking at fiqh and have different conclusions that they've derived and got to. But that's because everybody's machine is different. That's because people have a different way of processing information. We're going to touch a lot more on this concept next week, inshallah. We're going to do some case studies where we're going to have certain verses from the Quran, inshallah. And then we're going to have certain hadith, which may even seem to contradict certain parts of the Quran, and hadith may even seem to contradict each other. And then we're going to try and solve an individual case. So there's going to be a person who's going through a dilemma, and then we're going to try and use these sources to come to a conclusion. And we're going to see how this machine process works, how different people will have organized all of that information and produce different results and conclusions for that one person, inshallah. I hope that was helpful, and hope that was just an introduction to different concepts in fiqh about what it is and purification and so on.
Jazakallah, Mufti, for your time. I just want to share just a few last comments that just come through on YouTube.
Yep.
As some of them are our students as well. So, so first of all, Jazakallah for everyone for commenting and interacting with us. So we now have Bash Iqbal, who's saying, not forgetting purifying themselves with it also. Shahana Actually, it's Shayla. I have to always remember that it's not Shaila, but Shayla from Tash Kupruzadeh. So that's Shayla, student from Tash Kupruzadeh, who is saying, yeah, I think that it depends, because if the soil isn't fresh, then there could be poo in it.
Ooh.
Yes, so
You don't want to
yeah.
be rubbing that on your face, do you, Sheikh?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely not. So well done for bringing up Shayla, and I'm glad you're not being shy about saying what's true. I hope you saw what I did there.
Say it as it is.
Yeah. Right. So Jazakallah, everyone, and I would like to take this opportunity to say Jazakallah to Mufti Hilal for taking out his time from his very, very busy schedule. Because as I mentioned before, Mufti Hilal is at the moment currently completing his second and a half iftar course. So inshallah, Mufti Hilal will not only be a young Mufti, but he'll be a Mufti who's done iftar twice. So how do you feel about that exposure, Sheikh?
SubhanAllah.
Everyone's finding out the realities.
I feel
here.
that needs to be censored.
But like I said, Mufti Hilal is completing his iftar course here at the White Thread Institute, and there's some good things happening there. May Allah reward them, may Allah guide them and help them with their endeavors, and may Allah make them successful, and may Allah make them a means for the spread of Islam, both for the Muslims, but also those who are not Muslims as well, inshallah. So Jazakallah Mufti Hilal for your time. Jazakallah for doing this for us, and Jazakallah for the wonderful PowerPoints you prepared for us. And to be honest, I really loved the machine example, and then the example of the two machines.
Yeah, maybe we'll have 4 next week.
Yeah, we're going to have 4 next week, which made it very, very clear. I really like that example. So that's a virtual round of applause or round of a mashallah for you, Sheikh. And inshallah, Jazakallah everyone else. Ustad Yahya Nurbat has just signed in saying salams. I can't see the Mufti. So he's typed in MOOFTI. How do you feel about that, Sheikh?
Oh, that's because you've not allowed me to start my video, Sheikh.
Oh no, I thought
I was using that as an excuse, by the way.
Oh, is it? That's okay then. Because actually, I realized why. Because you were not a co-host. So if for Dr. Yahya, if you could show yourselves.
Actually, for Dr. Yahya, if he wants to, he can come and see me in person.
But he would then argue that he's in self-isolation. Yes,
he'll
absolutely.
have to look at me through the window.
That's an option. Yes, that's true. But then he could say that, look, could you come and stand outside the house?
But I don't want to see him, sure. He wants to see me.
That's a good point. I hope Dr. Yahya has heard that. And yeah, absolutely, inshallah. And then Ustad Yahya is asking very important. He's saying, I don't know. You may need to translate this for us. Mufti. He's saying, "Kya che Mufti."
Huh?
He's saying, "Ka che Mufti." Maybe he's trying to say, "Ka che Mufti."
Oh, yeah, I think he's reading too many history books. Right? I need to come back into.
So, Sheikh, I've enabled your thing. You can show yourself to Dr. Yahya if you like.
Oh, he's going to sing to me. We'll record this, inshallah.
Well, that's nice. He will sing. I will sing to you outside your house. That's wonderful, mashallah.
We'll record this.
And on the note of singing, do remember that you can tune into our choir class on Monday, where you can learn how to sing, inshallah. So there is that as well. So tune in on Monday, and you can sing as part of the choir. Okay, Jazakallah everyone once more. I think we will now start logging out. So Jazakallah everyone on YouTube. We'll log you out first. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.